It's the end of the year, and that means it's time for YouTube to get inundated with a bunch of best of the year lists. And if you can't beat them, join them. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Horror Movie Syllabus. My name is Professor Victor, and I'll be your host as we go through all the essential, noteworthy, interesting, and notorious modern horror films. If you're new to the channel, I recommend you check out the introduction video. There's a link to it in the description below, and it's going to give you a pretty good overview of what we do here at the Horror Movie Syllabus, which in short is we look at a particular subgenre of horror, and then we pick 3 movies from that subgenre to explore. But this is our end of the year best of or top 10 list. And this is something that I didn't used to do here at the Horror Movie Syllabus. I went ahead and did it for the first time last year because last year was such a banner year for new horror. And I decided to go ahead and just recap the 10 best movies I thought that came out that year. And frankly, everybody liked it and wanted me to do it again. So I'm doing it again, especially because this year I made a dedicated effort to try to see as much as possible. I saw almost every theatrical horror release that came out this year, and I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what was out there, and it was arguably better in 2025 than it was in 2024, which is pretty exciting. So of course we're going to do this again. We're going to do a top 10 list. I know that everybody else does them too. Don't care. We're doing it. This is my opinion. We're going to go ahead and dig into these, and I'll be honest with you, it was a really great year. There was a lot of stuff to kind of parse through, and there are several really great movies that aren't going to make the cut. And I'll kind of tell you towards the end of the video, the ones that just missed it, that just missed the cut. That I don't want to spoil things, of course. I'll wait till the end of the video to tell you that. But there were so many. I could have done a top 15 or top 20 pretty easily, but I forced myself to stick to top 10. So we're going to go ahead and dig into the top 10 right now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the list off at number 10 with a hot take right off the bat, because my number 10 pick is Opus. And I might be the only person in the world that liked this movie, and I actually loved it. I thought it was great. And it did not get good reviews. It didn't kind of came and went. Nobody seemed to have much love for it. And it's a shame because I thought it was a lot of fun, in large part because of John Malkovich playing this aging pop star from the 90s. And he's just chewing scenery up and just doing his Malkovich thing, and just a real delight. But the entire cast there is great. Ayo Edebiri is really cool in this movie. I'm not super familiar with her. I don't watch The Bear, but she won me over in this movie quite a bit. The entire cast, though, was bringing their game. And I just like the concept of this 90s artist kind of coming back with a new album, but it's actually like kind of dovetailing the cult of fandom with an actual cult. And it goes in places that I wasn't expecting it to go. And I don't know, I loved it. Plus, I thought the music was really fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought the single slapped. I would probably buy that album. So I really dug Opus. And again, I know it's not the popular opinion. It's my opinion, but Opus deserved more love than it got. And I'm bummed that it didn't get it, but it's my number 10 pick for the year. And number 9, I'm going with The Monkey. And it's Osgood Perkins. We all know I love me some Osgood Perkins. And he had 2 movies come out this year because he also had Keeper come out. But I went with The Monkey here because it was just not what I was expecting from Oz. It was very different from his normal contemplative, slow burn, deep and like kind of introspective movies. This was really a dark comedy. It was just like gory, gross out, humorous, dark comedy, and it was fun. It was a blast. I really had a good time with this one. I liked seeing a different side of Oz Perkins. I liked seeing a different interpretation of a Stephen King work that I was not expecting this. I was not expecting this from Stephen King works, and I was not expecting this from Oz Perkins. And it was a blast. Had some really great performances in there. Had some really wonderful gory moments in there. It was funny. And if you look at it closely and you know enough about Oz Perkins, you can see him still working out his demons here a little bit. But it was definitely one that was different than his normal stuff, and just was not ashamed or afraid to just kind of be silly and fun, and that worked for me. Now, it isn't perfect. The third act does kind of, falter a little bit, but there was enough going right throughout the entire movie that I was just having a blast, and I couldn't be more pleased with what I got as the final result. I really like this one, and controversial maybe that I liked it more than Keeper, but I did, and so I'm picking this one for number 9. At number 8, I'm going with Final Destination Bloodlines. And when I saw this movie and it came out of the theater, I was pretty high on it, and I said I probably was in the middle of the pack, upper middle of the pack. But after revisiting it a few times this year, I'm gonna bump it up. It might be my second favorite, or maybe the first favorite, probably the second favorite of the series, and it's a series that I love. So that's saying quite a bit. I thought that this movie did so many things right by changing up the formula a little bit, by focusing on one particular family. That was a really good idea. It made me more invested in the characters than I normally am. And then also just kind of explaining the concept of how the bloodlines worked. That was great too. And the cream on the top of it, the cherry on top, was Tony Todd's last performance there. That final performance is Bloodworth, and what he does there and what he says, just it hit hard. And I mean, I got teary-eyed, and I think a lot of us did. This movie surprised me. For a part 6, shouldn't be as good as it was. Shouldn't be. It should be a cash grab. It shouldn't be nearly as much fun and as interesting as it was. But they did it. They did a really good job here. And the things that I think were nitpicking, bothering me in the movie, in revisiting the series, I realized all the movies seem to have the same problems. A little bit of a lackluster ending sometimes, certain things that don't make quite some sense, or some things you have to kind of suspend disbelief for. So I can give it a lot more of a pass now. I moved it up on my rankings for sure, and I definitely moved it up onto the top 10 because it was an outstanding movie that surprised me by how good it wound up being. At number 7, I've got Presence, the Steven Soderbergh ghost movie, haunted house movie. And this is one of two movies Soderbergh did this year. We did Black Bag, which is not a horror movie, but was also excellent. But this movie feels like it was either underseen or just kind of forgotten a little unfairly. People don't seem like they're talking about this one as much, but this movie stuck with me. It came out early in the year, and I keep thinking about it. It just really hit for me. It moved me. And it's admittedly not very horror. It's not very scary. It's really kind of more of a drama, a supernatural drama, than it is more of a horror movie. But I'm counting it anyways because I don't care. It's my channel. I do what I want. But I just love the movie. I admittedly, it's a gimmicky premise. The idea of the entire movie being told from the point of view of the ghost, feels like a gimmick that's not very sustainable. But the movie is short enough that it never overstays its welcome with that premise, and it's surrounded itself with a lot of characters and cast members, actors that are really bringing it. Across the board, Lucy Liu, everybody in this movie is really, really good, and their characters are very, very interesting. So following them around from this third person perspective of the ghost really worked for me. And then you can debate whether or not you feel like the ending works for you. It worked for me, even though there might be some logic flaws in there. Don't care, because I think it's the emotional core of the movie that really matters. And for me, like what this was saying about death and loss really hit home for me. Again, it stuck with me. This movie stuck with me, and I felt like it's underseen, but I definitely had to put it on my list. So it's going here at number 7. At number 6, I'm going with Companion. Companion's another movie that came out earlier this year, but also has stuck with me quite a bit. I've enjoyed this movie so much, and it stands up on rewatches, even though the surprise gets spoiled for you. Frankly, they spoil the surprise in the trailer of the movie, and that's kind of a bummer. If you go in blind, it's much better of an experience. But even when you know the surprise is the twists in the movie, I still find this to be very rewatchable, very entertaining. In no small part due to the leads, Jack Quaid doing his Jack Quaid thing. He's really a lot of fun, and I enjoy him very much in everything he does. A little Scream King that we're watching develop here, but it's Sophie Turner who makes this movie for me. Sophie Turner, who was great in Heretic last year. I am a bona fide Sophie Turner fan at this point, and she really brings it in this movie. She is the heart of this movie, and it has heart in this movie. Like, it is a really fun, funny, but also poignant and interesting movie that's bringing heart and bringing social themes to the forefront in a way that it never stops being fun. It never gets too preachy. It never gets too heavy-handed. It stays fun, but it's saying a very clear message about relationships, about beauty standards, our relationship with technology, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. It's got a lot to say, and it's saying it in a very fun, easily digestible way. This movie is entertaining, and I think everybody should check it out. I think it was pretty popular. This one I don't think a lot of people saw, so I don't think it's too much of a hot take to put on the list, but it's definitely one that I feel like earned its spot here. Okay, we're into the top 5 now, and at number 5, we're having The Long Walk. And The Long Walk is just another exceptional King adaptation. Stephen King had a banner year this year. He had several movies, books of his adapted movies, and they were all really good to varying levels. But this one might be one of the best Stephen King adaptations ever. Like it's the top 10 in Stephen King adaptations, which is saying a lot because there's like almost 100 of them. But I mean, this one, top five? I don't have to think about it a little bit more, but it really is an exceptional movie in no small part due to the casting. You've got Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson in the movie, in the leads, but everybody in this movie is working really well, which is important because it's a movie about a bunch of conversations. It's people walking and talking for 90 minutes or so. And there's, shocking, gory, violent, and disturbing things that happen in this movie, but it's mostly these conversations, and you are 100% captivated and invested in what these conversations are doing and how they're going. It's an interesting premise. Post Hunger Games, we kind of understand this premise a little bit easier than maybe when the book came out, but it works anyways. And in our current social climate, it feels a little bit more relatable and has something to say. But again, not getting so much heavy-handed so much as just sticking with the drama of it. This drama and the emotion of the movie. It's got Mark Hamill in it chewing scenery, doing something great here. Mark Hamill had another banner year this year, so that's something we'll talk about a little bit more in a bit. But I love this movie. I love the casting in it. I love the performances. I love the script. I love that it's a simple concept that just works really, really well and just kind of is brutal but very real and authentic. Very, very great. Had put it on the list for top 5 for sure. At number 4, I've got Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. And this is the only movie that I actually didn't see in the theater. This is it got a theatrical release, but I didn't actually manage to get to see it in the theater. But I did see it on my friend's big, big, gigantic projector screen. So it's a similar theater experience with subwoofers under my butt and everything like that. So I feel like I got a pretty good experience there. And it is important that I did because it's a visually stunning masterpiece of a film. I went into this movie with incredibly high expectations, and I felt like the movie lived up to those expectations. Guillermo del Toro's money in the bank when it comes to visuals. He's got that gothic classic look down pat, and this movie is tailor-made for his sensibilities. He's really just reveling in the aesthetic of the movie, the mood of it. It comes out beautifully, and just visually stunning right from the very opening shots. It just looks amazing. But then he's got the acting. The cast is phenomenal. You've got Christoph Waltz, you got Mia Goth, Oscar Isaac doing great work, but it's Jacob Elordi who blew me away as the creature because I'm not really familiar with him. I don't know his work. This is, I think, the first thing I might have seen him in that at least I recognize, remember him in, and he blew me away. I am very interested in seeing what he does now. I might go see Wuthering Heights now just because I'm so impressed by what he did here. And it's a hard thing for this movie to live up to my expectations in that. I know a lot of people felt like it was a little too long or, kind of delved into some, too much extra backstory stuff. Not me. This movie flew by for me. I was locked in from start to finish. This one won me over. And it was easy to win me over. I was there for it. And it lived up to everything I wanted it to be. And I could not be happier with it. Okay, number 3. And I'm going with Weapons here. And Weapons was a huge hit, and everybody was buzzing about it. And I'll admit, it's arguably a bit overrated. The amount of buzz and talk that was going on about this movie might be too much for what it is. And yet, it was still a really fun, great, unpredictable movie. Zach Cregger doing his thing like he did with Barbarian. I think I still probably like Barbarian a little bit better, but I really like Weapons. And again, it's a movie that bears repeat viewings, even after you know the mysteries and surprises and everything like that. It still is an eminently rewatchable movie that works very, very well for me. I think that the performances across the board, once again, carry this movie. The biggest one, of course, being Amy Madigan as Gladys. Like, that is a career-defining iconic performance that probably won't get any kind of awards love, but should, because it's an iconic character now. But the whole movie is just full of memorable scenes, memorable characters you get invested with, changing the different perspectives so you feel one way about a character and then you feel a different way about a character. Julia Garner and Josh Brolin and Benedict Wong and everybody just doing great work. Everything about this movie is just working on so many levels that it's kind of hard to figure out how to feel about it because it's so tonally strange and it's so bizarre and you get whiplash with some of the plot twists and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I just enjoy the ride. It is a blast of a ride. It's a roller coaster ride that I enjoyed very much, and so did so many other people. So Weapons was definitely going to make the list. For my number 2 pick, I've got another one that might be a little bit controversial because I'm going with Good Boy. And I admit, This one kind of probably hits harder for the animal lovers, people like me who really love animals. It probably hits a lot harder for us, and we're probably a little bit more invested into it. But, the whole gimmick of showing the entire movie, this haunted house movie, from the perspective of a dog is a really clever one that works very well. In no small part to the fact that they didn't overstay the welcome. They kept the movie very, very short. It's like 75 minutes or something like that. So you never get tired of it. But they stick to it. They stick to this concept. And it's the key of the movie because seeing everything from the dog's perspective changes everything and how you feel about it. And it kind of tricks you into focusing on different things. I don't want to spoil the movie, but it has you worrying about the dog, and you kind of take your eyes off the ball of what really is going on and what might be the actual problem until it hits you with that emotional gut punch at the end that absolutely wrecked me, and I loved it. It has so much to say about life and death and the meaning of our relationships and our relationships with our animals in particular, that it resonated with me on so many levels that, like, I mean, I've watched it a couple times now, and it hits for me every single time. It's a little bit of a hard watch, but it's also kind of a fun, sweet watch because there's so many things that are uplifting about it. And the little behind the scenes at the end of it, at least in the theatrical version of it, really kind of takes the edge off of everything. When you see how the dog, who's the director's dog, was directed to make this movie, it's so funny and cute and just wonderful, and it's just heartwarming. So Good Boy, again, it may not be for everybody. A lot of people might think I have it way too high. Don't care, because I absolutely loved it. Before we get into number one here, I'm going to go ahead and just take a moment to do an honorable mention for my favorite non-horror movie that came out this year, and that's The Life of Chuck. And yeah, it's non-horror, even though it's a Stephen King adaptation, and it's directed by Mike Flanagan, the Flan Man. It's somehow not horror, and it's a beautiful, beautiful movie that I feel like was criminally underseen. It's got an amazing cast. It's got Tom Hiddleston in the title role, but Mark Hamill doing the best work I think I've ever seen him do in this movie. Again, I mentioned Mark Hamill earlier, but he's incredible here. Mia Sara is an incredibly welcome thing to come back, having her come back in this performance, and she is captivating and effervescent and wonderful. The cast is great here, but the concept of it, which I don't want to spoil too much, is wonderful. This meditation on the meaning of life and your relationships and how you impact the world and how the world impacts you is just beautiful. It for somebody my age, middle-aged person, it hits pretty hard. I love this movie. I think more people need to see it. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say too much more. But if you didn't get a chance to see Life of Chuck, try to check it out because it is an absolutely beautiful movie that I think deserves more eyeballs. Okay, number one, and for my favorite movie, my favorite horror movie of the year, it's Sinners, and of course it's Sinners. Everybody should have seen that one coming from me. I love me a vampire movie, and we got one of the greatest vampire movies ever made. Yeah, I've heard the kind of blowback on it now. Some of the people who kind of kind of come back and not loving it now and saying it's too much of a drama or this or that, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but for me, this movie works on so many levels. I love the fact that it's a drama. I love the fact that the music is so rich, and I'm loving the themes in the movie. I love the period piece setting of this. I love that it's so mainstream and so many people saw it. I love the cast. The cast is just doing so much great work here. Everybody in this movie is great. I talked about this a bit before because I did cover the movie for the channel because of course I did. Of course it's syllabus worthy, and I don't need to go into it too much here because hopefully we've all seen it. If you haven't seen it, definitely you should check it out. But this movie was just an instant masterpiece right from the start. I came out of the theater just going, what the hell did I see? And I already had high expectations, and it blew them out of the water. This movie is going to endure for years and decades. Ryan Coogler kind of changing the subgenre, maybe changing the genre, maybe changing the industry. I'm effusive about it, and I can't help but love it. And of course, it was going to be my favorite of the year, and not a surprise, but it is what it is. I love the movie, and of course, I'm going to put it number one here. So that's going to be it for my top 10 of 2025. By all means, let me know in the comments what movies you think should have been here that I missed. I'll tell you right now, the ones that just missed the cut for me were like 28 years later. That was a really great one. The Ugly Stepsister. Oh man, I really wanted to get that on here. I couldn't quite squeeze it on, but I really wanted. Together, the Dave Franco and Alison Brie movie. Loved that. It Ends, that small little indie movie that was on streaming. That was fantastic. classic. I saw that recently, and I was like, oh, can I squeeze that in? I couldn't, but I really wanted to. Keeper was another one. I didn't know how I felt about that at the time, but it's grown on me, and maybe could have reached through. So there were a lot of movies that I really want to squeeze on here. I probably should have done top 15, but I didn't want to take a cop out. I wanted to squeeze it into 10, so that's what I did. But let me know what makes your top 10. Let me know how stupid my decisions are or my choices are. Let me know the ones that you would have put in there. I know I've seen a couple of the top 10 lists like that. I know I saw that you and I had a very similar top 10, but your number one didn't even make my entire list at all. So people have opinions, man. Let's talk about it in the comments and share each other's opinions, and let's be nice to each other about it, because it's just opinions. But let's go ahead and have a good time. Keep talking about this, because it was a banner year for horror. We all won this year when it came to horror. And now I'm going to see if I can win on a horror trivia pursuit card. It's that time of the video where I'm going to take a question, a horror trivia pursuit question, and hopefully answer it right. And I'm going to go with the monster category, because Sinners was number one, vampire movie. So we're going to go with the monster category, and here is the question. Who was the author of the novel the 1975's Jaws adapts? Look, I know the answer to this question. It's kind of like, if you're into like books and like horror books and stuff like that, it's kind of a well-known answer, so it's not like I'm super clever or something like that. But I know this answer because when I was a kid, my grandmother would take me to like the thrift stores and stuff, like Penny Saver and Goodwill and stuff like that, Salvation Army. And they would have books for like, 25 cents or whatever. And she would buy me books. And I was really into movie novelizations, in particular horror movie novelizations. So she had bought me this book. And it was, it's not a novelization, it's an actual novel. But as a kid, I didn't really understand it, because I was a kid. I was like, I don't know, maybe 10. I don't know. I don't remember how old I was. But I got this book, and I remember the name of the author on it, because I remember thinking it was odd that it wasn't Steven Spielberg. But I remember his name. I remember very clearly. I remember the book. I haven't read that book in years. I don't even have that copy of it anymore, unfortunately. But it's an incredible book, incredible movie, of course. And this author, like I said, is pretty well known, largely for this, but it's pretty well known. So I don't know if that's any clues to you. It's really more of a personal anecdote, a little bit of my history there. But I do have an affinity for this book because of that experience, and we have some more stuff to talk about with books in the future. That's coming up pretty soon, actually, so stay tuned for that. A little tease there. But time to lock in an answer. If you don't know, time to take a guess, but lock in your answer, because I've got my answer good to go. So lock yours in. Ready? Okay. The author of Jaws is Peter Benchley. Peter Benchley is the writer of that. I remember it distinctly. Remember the name on the cover, like it's a very clear image in my mind. Just double check the card. Peter Benchley, yeah, Peter Benchley, who's done a couple of different books about the ocean, stuff like that. But Jaws, of course, is the thing that he's most well known for. So did you get it right? And if not, who did you guess? What did you guess if you didn't know the answer? I'd like to hear the wrong answers. And again, I want to know what your top 10 was of the year, because I'm interested in what people's opinions were. So many good things this year. There's probably movies I just flat out even forgot to add here. So I'd like to hear what you guys think of the movies that came out this year. Keep those in the comments, and we'll have a discussion then. Next week, we'll be doing something very different from this week. But until then, I'm just going to say, class dismissed.